Now, I would like to invite our next speaker, Professor Pallu Reddanna. Professor Reddanna is currently professor at University of Hyderabad and director at Aspire and executive president at FABA, Hyderabad. He has been working for the past 30 years in the area of inflammation and cancer. His paper on leukotriene synthesis, along with Professor E.Z. Corey, who is a Nobel Laureate, and the discovery of a new pathway for the conversion of leukotriene C4 to leukotriene F4 are the significant contributions. He is involved in setting up of TBI and BioNEST Incubation Center and founder member of the Federation of Asian Biotech Association, that is FABA, as well as participating in promoting innovations and entrepreneurship activities in the campus. Professor Reddanna will be talking about industry-driven education in healthcare in India. So over to you, Professor Reddanna.
Thank you, Dr. Harpreet. Let me first thank Dr. Mohit and the PineBio team for inviting me to this special workshop or symposium. So Dr. Mohit has asked me to talk on higher educational institutions in India. Let me first share my presentation.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to have you.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir, but not in the presentation mode.
Yeah. Are you able to hear properly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I thought was, let me just give a brief background about Indian educational system in the higher education, and then what India has contributed to India as well as to the global community, and what are the challenges in utilizing the talent from higher educational institutions by Indian industry. And always we hear the complaint that the student community coming out of the colleges or higher educational institutions, they are not having the right skills to be employed in the industry. And so that's the major complaint, and how actually we could overcome that kind of deficit that is present in the Indian educational system. What is the way forward? So that's how I have structured my talk. Let me just give the global scenario of higher educational institutions. So in general, higher education is viewed as part of the national agenda in transforming the nation into knowledge-based economy. So any kind of investment that you put in the higher education is going to give you back and contribute to the economy of the country also. Globally, if you say there are 30,000 universities or higher educational institutions around the world, nearly 600 million students at universities across all disciplines. 4 levels of education, generally associate, bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees. These are all different grades that are there. Nearly 50% of the student population are going to higher education in developed countries, but not in other countries. If you see the kind of talent that is being used by developed countries like US and Europe, you can see in USA there are 1 million plus people, students from various countries going there and then contributing to their growth. Similarly, UK 0.5 million, China 0.5 million, Canada 0. So the talent wherever it is that is being exploited by these developed countries. And higher educational institutions, Indian scenario, if you see, there are about 944 universities, which includes the state, central, private universities, deemed to be universities. And among these, 54 are the central universities. And there are 388 private universities, 558 medical colleges. The most important institutions, elite institutions, are Indian Institute of Technologies. There are 23 of them, and they are the major contributors for innovation and entrepreneurship, not only in India, but across the world. And very recently, the government of India has started Indian Institute of Scientific Education and Research, ISERs. ISERs are similar to IITs for science. If IITs are for engineering, ISERs are for science and technology. And there are 150 plus standalone research institutes are there, established by the national funding agencies like Council of Scientific Industrial Research, Department of Science and Technology, Department of Biotechnology, Indian Council of Medical Research, like that. And 3,500 plus engineering colleges are there, both run by the state governments, run by the private universities. And there are 3,400 polytechnics and 200 architectural colleges. So you can see the structure, either engineering or medical or pharmaceutical. These are the professional kind of courses that are being run. And on the other side, the conventional universities are there with all multidisciplinary structure. And so the number of students that are enrolled into all these educational institutions, it's really large in number. And in that way, India can boast that we are generating large manpower, not only for India, but to the global community. So India is the second largest source of internationally mobile students around the world. So our students will go to undergraduate courses or postgraduate courses or to the higher postdoctoral programs to various other countries. Nearly 300,000 Indian students in universities and colleges abroad every year. So that is the kind of, not only they are getting trained in the educational system that is there in the country, but they are also going out and then studying. Contributions of, if you see the contributions of higher educational institutions, in 2019, 42.6% of the workforce in India was employed in agriculture, while the other half was almost evenly distributed among the two other sectors, industry and services. So most of the, of course, the kind of workforce, what we are talking in agriculture is may not be educated, but the other kind of workforce, but the talent that is coming out of higher educational institutions are going into either service sector or industry sector. India has seen a rapid expansion in higher educational sector since 2001, but the number employed in the industry is very low. The top 8 sectors offering employment are the consumer electronics, manufacturing, commercial real estate, food industry, tourism, textile, mining, banking sector, automobile. These are the top. That means the pharma, biotech, and other things come much later. And at what level they are employed? Undergraduate is around 8% of the total employment. So polytechnic courses, ITIs, 3%. Polytechnic 3%, postgraduate or equivalent kind of degrees 13%, management equivalent courses 17%, the graduates with either graduates in arts or commerce or science, 17%, engineers, 31%. So most of the employments are for the engineers, which is followed by the management equivalent or other kind of things. So that is the scenario. Status of industry employment in India, if you see, as I was mentioning earlier, 41% employed in the agriculture, IT and service sector, 22%, pharma, 12%, and manufacturing, 15%. Others are around. The 5 fast-growing industries are healthcare industry, food industry, digital industry, infrastructure industry. So these are all the various sectors. What India has contributed to higher, the higher educational institutions have contributed to the global. If you see, our talent is employed everywhere. India's highly qualified human services in abroad are highly varied and have entered almost all fields of economy, especially IT and healthcare sectors. If you see that 21 of Indian origin star executives are heading the global companies, that means the products coming out of higher educational institutions, it is not good to say that they are not well trained, but these are the people who are heading the global institutions. You have examples which were given: Sundar Pichai, Satyanarayana Nadella, Ajay Paul Singh, and Santanu Narayanan. And so a number of people are heading, not only just being employed in the global companies, but also at very key positions also. So that means the Indian educational system has contributed a lot to the growth of the global industry, or global economy. But why Indian industry is not able to tap that kind of talent, why they are allowing them to go and sell in other industries. Let us see the scenario, how it is in India. Pharma industry, it is very innovative in reverse engineering. In fact, they are the leaders in generics and supplying the medicines at much cheaper prices around the world. And in fact, they have contributed a lot to the healthcare industry around the world, specifically in developing countries which cannot afford the medicine. It is the Indian industry which has come forward and then supplied at much cheaper prices for diseases like HIV and many other disorders. So, but they are mostly concentrated on generic. When the new IPR regime came, we thought probably our pharma industry will enter into innovation. But that didn't happen because of the generic opportunity. And now all the pharma industries, they're also global leaders, but they are thriving on the generic opportunity. New drug discovery is still a challenge in the pharma industry. Let us see biotech industry. Biotech industry, so initially it all started with the first recombinant hepatitis B vaccine, that was Shingrix, developed by Santa Biotech, because of the contributions of 2 main persons, Dr. Guntuka from Santa Biotech and the managed by Dr. Prasad Reddy, and establishment of many other biotech industries. And today, the COVID vaccines are being developed and distributed around the world. So the industry, again, for biotech industry has also come up similar to pharma industry, but again, biosimilars, not innovative products. Very recently, Indian companies also have just come up with the innovative vaccine for COVID-19, by Bharat Biotech, and Jadis Cadila also has come up for the first time DNA vaccine. So the biosimilars have given the opportunity for the biotech industry. And biopharmaceutical segment accounted for the largest share of the biotech industry with 64% of the total revenues. And they are also following the biogeneric route. As I said, biosimilars, vaccines and biosimilars contribute to the largest component. And in the entire biotech industry, there are not many innovative products which were introduced. So what is the next phase for the pharma and biopharma industry? Discovery route is the only way to become the global leaders and then come up with blockbuster products. Challenges, it is really highly risky, time consuming, require huge investments, but the pharma and biotech industry in the country have that kind of capabilities to introduce the products, but they are not coming forward. What is the way forward? New models have to be adopted. So any kind of innovations around the world have come from academic institutions. It is the academic institutions which have come up with the innovations, which the global industries have taken up, exploited, and then taken to the later development. So that is the model which India also has to adopt, academy in the forefront and industry at later stages of development, so that high risk is mitigated in the academic institutions, which are supported by the government, whereas the later development could be taken by the industry. And to promote academy-industry interactions, specifically, if you want to impart the right skills required for the manpower for the industry, there should be continued dialogue between industry and academy. And that can happen with the push from academic institutions for collaboration with the industry, and the pull from whatever the ideas, innovations coming out of the academic institutions have to be exploited by the industry. So these models may be thought of push from the owners of IP, that is from academic institutions, and the pull from pharma and biotech industries. And these models have to be adopted, which will help for the growth of the industry. So adoption of innovation is the success. That is the innovation is the game changer in the global companies. Companies founded on scientific discoveries or meaningful engineering innovation are the leaders. If Indian industry has to become the global leaders, it is the only mantra is to focus on innovations. That means engage with the academic institutions and then promote the innovation discoveries in the academic institutions. And so if you see the various areas where, see, the field is rapidly changing. Unless you adapt to the new technologies that are coming up or emerging, you will not be able to survive and then come up with innovative products. So that's where you need to be in a position to adopt the technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, data mining. So a number of such kind of innovation technologies are tools that are emerging. They need to be adopted, and that is possible only when you have continued interaction with the industry. Industry has to be continuously engaged with the academic institutions, and the academic institutions also should have continued interaction. What are the kind of skill set that is required in the industry and how to introduce them into the curriculum? These are some of the things. And the expanding pool of professionals in India is set to become one of the largest talent pool in the world by 2027. So in each and every sector, so there will be a lot of talent that will be available, and that talent, the right skills that are required have to be imported into the curriculum of the educational institutions. And so if you see the forecast, 5 things to know about India by 2030, it will be second largest economy, even ahead of US. That is the kind of projections. More than 1 billion internet users, 77% of the population under the age of 44, 80% of the population is middle class, and 5.7 trillion consumer spending. So that kind of market you will not get in any other country. So that is why it is going to be, India is going to be the global focus in the years to come. Industries need to exploit the talent from these higher educational institutions and involve them in innovative discoveries with initial initial reskilling. Are you able to hear me?
Sorry.
Mohit? Mohit?
Yes, some background noise is coming.
Yes, Professor Pallu, Reddanna, you need to unmute
Can
yourself.
you? Yeah,
Yes, thank you so much.
yeah. So far, India has been recognized as a manufacturing hub. So it is a global manufacturing center for either vaccines or for the pharma products. But the question is, will they graduate? When they are going to graduate? So there is an enormous scope for Indian industries to come up with innovative products. So the advantages for India is 6th largest consumer market in the world, 31% of urban population, 49% workforce participation, attracted more than 49 billion investments in 2009. So the government is also providing all kind of incentives for the industry to come up, but the industry has to focus on innovation, on innovative products, and then only they will be global leaders in every sector that they are taking. So the pharma and biopharma sectors specifically supplying the products around the world, but the time to focus on innovation, it has come up. So what is the way forward here? Deepen academy-industry relations, adoption of immersion technology, that is, whatever the new tools that are coming up, AI, ML, and other IoT, all have to be adopted so that you're up to date, and then only you will be in the race. Otherwise, you will be left out. Innovation and entrepreneurship track, introducing new curriculum track aimed at to equip future scientists at higher education institutions with business fundamentals and familiarity with the entrepreneurship. So academic institutions should also start such kind of innovation and entrepreneurship activities. And more important is skill development clusters have to be developed, organizations bringing together academia and industry, an open innovation platform to provide skills, training to freshers and reskilling experienced employees. So that is the one which will promote innovative industry, the thing. And so India has come up with the new educational policy, and it emphasizes on holistic multidisciplinary education for future nations stakeholders. So keeping in mind of the skill set that is coming out of the Indian educational institutions, the new educational policy has come up with a lot of changes, revamping the entire system, internationalization of higher education. That is, very soon in the academic institutions, there will be not only students, but even the faculty will be recruited wherever the best talent that is available. Digitalization is another important thing that is now today in every discipline, every segment of the industry also. The data science is the one which is playing an important role. So you need to you need to empower the students with the digital technologies, digital infrastructure, digital content, and capacity building of institutes in technology for education. A layered accreditation system also has been going to be introduced so that the universities and institutions could be ranked basing on the type of skills that they are imparting, and also the kind of the contributions that they have made to the industry or to the academy. Not only to training the students, but even the teaching faculty also need to be empowered with reskilling and upskilling of the professionals. That is also so it is all aimed at making India self-reliant and making India to boost the economy and to meet sustainable goals of India. So that's the way. So industry-driven education system is the focus. Establishing links with industry and academy is crucial. Higher education institutions to impart the right skill set required in the industry, and promoting innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem in the campuses, push from the academic institutions and pull from the industries. So this is with reference to, yeah. So in summary, India, with the world's largest population of 500 million in the age of 5 to 24 years, and the largest network of higher educational institutions in the world, played an important role in every sector, not only in India, but even around the world. However, there is still a lot of potential for further development, provided the right skills are imparted by the educational institutions. And this requires continued interaction of the educational institutions with the industries to understand the dynamic skill set required with changing times, and industries should come up with reskill of the professionals and potential employees in collaboration with the academic institution. The skill at the academic institutions and the reskill at the industries level, both are required to make them employable, which is being adapted by the global industries. So the push from academic institutions and the pull from the industries are required to generate industry-ready manpower in every industrial segment, including the healthcare. So that is what I thought. But in this connection, I also wanted to introduce the Federation of Asian Biotech Associations, which we started in 2004 to provide a platform for the academy, industry, and government to come together. So this is a non-profit organization providing such kind of platform for the academy industry to come together and interact. And we also we are making sure that to promote innovation through innovation awards for young scientists and young minds at the school level itself. And we are in the process of having a global innovation clusters meet, and Hyderabad innovation cluster meet is also being planned. So and very recently we have started FABA Academy, and this academy is mainly to train the students in helping the students in their career building and also skill development activities. So it is not only the responsibility of the academic institutions and the industries, but the organizations like FABA have been doing. So we are identifying what are the right skills required in the industry, and then incorporating them into our workshops and then imparting to the student community. And in this connection, we also have collaborated with TBI and Bio in this effort. Let me also tell you briefly, University of Hyderabad, one among the top 5 universities in the country with the 12 schools of study. In this, the chemistry, physics, life sciences are the leading science and technology schools. School of Life Sciences is one of the largest life science school in the country with almost 75 faculty members in one roof, and received the Best University Award, awarded top A grade. Very recently, it was recognized as Institute of Eminence, under which there are special grants which were given. So with that, I stop, and I'll be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Reddanna, for the insights. So we have a few questions and also some reviews already. So we really appreciate your presentation today and so much information that we got to know for the first time. So I was pretty much engaged throughout this presentation, learning so many new things about the ongoing effort, and especially what are the changes that the government and the industry is going through to accommodate the transformation. So to summarize this entire 2 sessions, before I maybe go to some of the questions that have been asked. So I just wanted to summarize for everyone that it was great to first listen to Dr. GPS Raghava, where we learned about the application of bioinformatics and what the importance of data is. Now, by Professor Reddanna's talk, we got to know about the opportunity. So the opportunity also involves data science education and biotechnology and healthcare in this healthcare industry. So one of the aspects that we kind of wanted to discuss is that one thing that was coming out of this entire presentation and the way we have been presenting ourselves as the future of bioinformatics in India is that how do we do it in here in India by working with government, by working with industry, by connecting to industry and being able to do and generate and have these soft skills and skill sets that are the future. So with that, I would wanted to ask some of the questions that are there put together. So one of the questions that came in the chat is by Shri Prasad Joshi. So Shri Prasad Joshi is saying, Dr. Reddanna, thanks for the amazing talk. I sincerely feel that HEI from India, except IIT and ISER, plus some elite institute, the academia is not providing enough experience from the practical side to the graduating student. So I feel like it is a must to get a large number of pass outs, both with a degree as well as profound knowledge in at least their research interest. I would like to know that. What do you think about this? Thanks again.
Yeah, I think this is the scenario in most parts of the country. The students see the skill set is a dynamic one. It is ever changing, but at the same pace, the infrastructural facilities or in terms of the faculty strength or faculty expertise is not changing. That is where we need to have continued engagement with the industry. Every institution has to engage with the industry, but that is not happening. And but despite that, our our work, our student, the products coming out of the academic institutions are able to gain knowledge from so maybe they need some kind of bridge courses, and those kind of bridge courses are the ones which are which are being offered outside, either US or Europe. Somebody does MSc here and then go for PhD, or somebody has done even PhD also and then go to US or Europe or some other countries, and then work for a couple of years, learn those kind of skill set, and then they are the ones which are leading, which are being employed by the industry. Either they come back to India and join the industries, or they are working there itself. But there are opportunities if they are not available at your colleges or universities. But if you go around and then tap the resources, see today there are so many central universities, ICERs, IITs. The students who could not get the proper skill set or hands-on training, they can go for internships. They can write to the faculty at universities, central universities, or there are national laboratories, which I said, BST or CSR or DBT labs are there. You could always write and then go do internships. That's where you learn some of the skill set. If one has that kind of willingness to go out and then learn, there are enough opportunities in the country. And it is not good always complaining that they are not being provided. And to the population that we have, it is impossible to provide such kind of. You cannot have IITs, ICERs, central universities in each and every corner. But those who are not having, they should tap the other resources that are available in the country. So that's my advice to the students.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you for answering that question. So we also have Dr. Harpreet as a panelist. So if she has a question, Dr. Harpreet.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Mohit. Thank you, Dr. Reddanna, for such a wonderful talk. So I have a question. Like, we all want industrial-oriented research in India. But I have one question, whether industries are sponsoring doctoral degree for the PhD students. So one of the research fellowship that I am familiar with, where actually industrial partners are also involved, that is PM fellowship, Prime Minister fellowship. So apart from that, do you have some idea, like from where or what are the industries that sponsoring PhD for Indian students, so that they actually develop such kind of skills at their doctoral level? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think PM Prime Minister's doctoral fellowship is really a very good one, where industries are involved. But it all depends upon the educational institutions. For example, at University of Hyderabad, we collaborated with Shanta Biotech. Shanta Biotech gave the fellowships for PhD program. And the scientists at Shanta Biotech could also work for PhD in collaboration with the faculty at University of Hyderabad. Dr. Reddy's laboratories, also the scientists from there could, so I was a co-guide for the students from Dr. Reddy's. So those kind of opportunities are there, but it all depends upon how exactly the academic institutions are exploiting. It is not just somebody, no industry will come and give you the fellowship, but it all depends upon how one interacts and then gets them.
So another question that I have, as you indicated, Dr. Reddy and other labs are offering sponsorship. So whether the students who are acquiring that degree or going to acquire those degrees, whether they also need to clear some like exams like CSR Research Fellowship or UGC Research Fellowship kind of exams before applying for those kind of fellowships?
It's not, see, university is the one which decides the eligible criteria for PhD. either the entrance examination or the CSIR exam. It varies from one university to another university. No, if they have a policy that they will admit through the entrance exam conducted by them, then you have to pass that exam. Otherwise, if CSIR fellowship, see, for example, IASC will not just rely on CSIR or ICM or DBT fellowships and awards that they get, but they internally conduct their own exam and then take. So the policy varies.
Okay, so another question, like how many fellowships they offer in 1 year, for example. We know that like 100 to 200 students are sponsored by CSIR for their doctoral degree, and nearly 2 to 300 or something like that are sponsored by UGC for their doctoral degree. So how many, I mean, in terms of a number, for every year, these companies sponsor the PhD students?
The number is not number is not something that you need to negotiate. Is not uniform thing. See, for example, Shanta Biotech gave the fellowships to all the MSc students. So when we were about 12 to around 15 to 20, they were all given the fellowship, and then 2 or 3. It depends upon industry. Is not a fixed which they announce and then give.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Reddanna.